Hi, I'm Noah, and this is the ERS System Configuration Training Series, Upselling and Suggested and Required Add-ons. Suggested add-ons are the main feature most ERS customers use for automated upselling, and required add-ons are intended for when someone orders an item that comes with a choice of something else, like if you provide a free bottle of syrup with a snow cone machine rental. There are some alternative setups that some people use, and we'll go over those as well. So I've got an order in progress here on the front end. And we can see that after I added a giant slide to my cart, I'm seeing an upselling prompt here. People who have ordered this have also ordered the following. An add-on displayed here below the cart like this is called a suggested add-on, and as you can see, it's intended for upselling. Now this suggested add-on comes from Admin Products Add-ons through the standard add-on, as we can see here. Now, I am going to open up Admin Products Items in a separate browser tab. Sometimes I do that. I'll have a few different areas of my folder open. I just want to encourage you to be careful when you do that, because one area that you're in might not auto-update based on activity that you did in another area. So there are times where you need to refresh your screen in another area to see the new stuff that you just added to a different area. And or there are situations where you're going to want to save your changes in one area before you change things in another area. Just be careful about it. So if we click into our giant slide in here, and we look at the suggested add-ons field, we can see that there isn't anything chosen in this menu, and yet we're still seeing this suggested add-on here on the front end. So why is that? Well, it's because the schedule profile that this item is using, once again, I'm going to open up schedule profiles in a separate browser tab. And then I'm going to click into the schedule profile that this item is using. We can see that that schedule profile is set to use the standard suggested add-on. I'm not going to get into the weeds too much on schedule profiles here. As I've mentioned in a previous video, we'll have other tutorials on that. Most of the time for any items we want to use a different suggested add-on for, it's best practice to change the add-on at the item level, and that's also going to keep things simple for us. If we choose a suggested add-on here at the item level, it'll override whatever is set at the schedule profile level. So we'll create some new add-ons to optimize our upselling in a moment here, but first I want to demonstrate the other kind of add-on you can use during the shopping process, the required add-on. So I'm going to use the suggested add-on here on the front end to add a snow cone machine to my cart. And now we're looking at a required add-on. You can see it's similar to suggested add-ons in that they both prompt you to add items to your order, but while suggested add-ons are intended for upselling so your customer can skip them if they like, a required add-on has to be answered one way or another in order for the customer to proceed with the order. So it's intended for situations like this, where one item comes with a choice of some other item, in this case a snow cone machine that comes with a free bottle of syrup, so the customer has to choose their free flavor of syrup. One quick note. Required add-ons always take precedence over suggested add-ons, but you can always upsell. Don't let yourself think, oh, dang, this item uses a required add-on, so it won't show a suggested add-on, so I can't upsell when people get this item. That's not the case. You can still show a suggested add-on after the customer has chosen the item from the required add-on. This will become more clear as we go through this training. So back at Admin Products Items, if we do a search for the words snow cone, we can see that the snow cone syrup flavors are actually $5 each. So why are they showing up for free in that required add-on? See, it doesn't say $5 next to them. Well, if we click into the add-on, we can see that I've used the cost field right here to override the item's base cost when it's being offered through the add-on. So let's go ahead and choose a flavor of syrup. I love that red fake cherry flavored stuff, so I'm going with that one. Now we can see that once we've chosen our snow cone syrup flavor, we're seeing the same suggested add-on that we saw before. As I mentioned before, let's optimize this because you can have as many add-ons as you want and you can get really strategic with how you upsell. There's no reason you have to go over and over again. People who have ordered this have also ordered the following. So what I'm thinking is I'd like to suggest some additional snow cone syrups to folks after they've chosen their free flavor of syrup. So I am going to come back here into the add-ons area. And I am going to add a new add-on. I'm going to call it Additional Snow Cone Syrup Upselling. I'm going to type out a prompt here. And now let's add some items to this add-on. I'm going to put all 3 flavors of snow cone syrup in here. And some tables and some chairs. And I think we're good here, so I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes. Now we have to assign this as a suggested add-on to the snow cone syrup items. This gets back to what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned that even though required add-ons take precedence over suggested add-ons, you can still upsell when an item uses a required add-on. So the trick is to remember that the suggested add-on that will show up under the cart is always going to be based on the last item that was added to the cart. So in this case, the last item that was added to the cart was not the snow cone machine. It was the snow cone syrup. Because remember, the snow cone machine uses a required add-on to prompt us to add a free bottle of syrup. So again, it was the syrup that was the last item that was added to the cart, not the machine. So we need to put the suggested add-on on the syrup items. Now, anytime I am going to make edits to multiple entries, spreadsheet mode is my best bet because it's going to enable me to make changes right here from the menu instead of having to click into each entry, find the field I'm looking for, edit it, click submit, click into the next item, rinse and repeat, etc. Just saves me time to be able to do it all from this menu view. Okay, so we're going to attach this suggested add-on to each of the syrup items. And again, you can see how this saves us time because we can just make mass edits right here from the menu. Okay, so now that we've changed that suggested add-on for our syrup items, let's go ahead and go back into the front end and refresh the page. And now, bam, there's our new suggested add-on. So you get the idea. You can create as many add-ons as you want, and you can strategically assign them to different items so that your customers see different upselling prompts depending on what they've added to their cart. Just remember, the flow goes like this. Item, required add-on if applicable, because of course not every item uses a required add-on, suggested add-on. Now, as mentioned in the last video, some customers like to use required add-ons instead of packages for their themed units. And actually, some customers like to use required add-ons for their upselling instead of suggested add-ons. Me personally, I like the old-fashioned way where suggested add-ons do your upselling, like we've been going through in this video so far, but I'll show you the other method that some people like to use, and you can choose the method you prefer. I'm going to switch to a different demo folder here that has this other setup. In this folder, we're going to be able to see that my modular units are presented a little differently. I changed the name of the item to let people know they can add a theme if they want. And when I add the item to my order, we can see that it allows me to either choose a theme or skip it. See, we can leave those set at 0 or we can choose one of them. But either way, it's still a required add-on because the customer has to answer the question one way or another in order to proceed with the order. Now, we were able to make it so that our customer could either choose to add a banner or not by using a range in the required add-on field here. That 0 to 1 entry is what does the trick. They can choose any number between 0 and 1. Now, another thing about required add-ons is you can actually use more than one if you like. So let's look at this Happy Birthday Special item. This item is a package just like our other folder, but the item that's in the package by default is the modular combo unit and the tables and chairs. And then we're using 2 separate required add-ons to prompt the customer to choose their theme and a concession machine. Now, let's notice that for this item, we've got a required add-on that does not have a range. It's 1. They have to choose one, right? Because the whole idea of this special is that the price is all-inclusive. It's $400 for the package, period. And they get to choose the banner that they want and the concession machine that they want. So instead of 0 to 1, which makes it an upselling prompt because the customer can choose 0, this one is more of a traditional required add-on. They have to choose a theme and they have to choose a concession machine. Now, we have used the cost field in these add-ons, once again, to make sure that they don't trigger an additional cost, because remember, the cost of that package is all inclusive in that $400 price, and same with the theme choice on the modular unit. Now, in this folder, I've actually set the banners to not be hidden items. Let's go ahead and make some choices here. just so we can move on to the next thing. So in this folder, I have chosen to make the banners not be hidden items. I've actually put them in the concessions and add-ons category as visible items. Now, of course, in a real life scenario, I would have added pictures and all that good stuff, but you can sort of see how you want to approach it a little bit differently if you're not using packages to present a, happy birthday bounce house, which under the hood is actually your modular bounce house plus a happy birthday banner. If you're presenting it differently in this way with the required add-on prompting them to choose the banner, well, then you probably want the banner to be available as a separate item that people can actually see in their order. It all just kind of depends on how you're setting things up, whether you want those items to be visible or not. So a few customers like to use multiple required add-ons for upselling with all their items using that quantity range field at the item level so that their customer can opt out, but they still have to answer the question one way or another. Just keep in mind that no matter how many required add-ons your customers have to go through, and I don't recommend you overdo it, remember too many choices can be overwhelming for people. Probably best to cap it at about 3 required add-ons per item or fewer. Eventually, they're going to answer all those questions, and at that point, they're still going to see whatever suggested add-on is attached to the last item that was added to their order, unless you set your items to not use a suggested add-on at all. In order to do that, you have to look first at that suggested add-ons field in the item itself, and if you find that that field is blank, like if somebody chose this and then saved their change like that, that means it's using the default suggested add-on that is attached to the schedule profile this item is using. So you want to double check the item schedule profile, and I don't see that field in here, so I'm using this customize button to add the field in here so I can see that field. So we're going to double check the schedule profile that the item is using, and it says category default. So then I'm going to need to double check what schedule profile the category this item in is using, and that category is concessions and add-ons. So I'm going to go to admin, products, categories. It looks like all of my categories are actually using the main schedule profile. So then I can go into schedule profiles. Where did I put it? So then we can go into schedule profiles. Once again, I need to see that suggested add-ons field. So I'm going to add it into my view. And I can blank out that field if I like. So that's it for upselling and suggested and required add-ons. In our next video, we'll cover deposits. Feel free to take the quiz for this video and then move on to the next one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.